Three, two, one. What's up, guys? This is a bonus pod with Operation Dad. I'd like to welcome in my good friend, father, uh, fitness, not influencer, fitness expert. He's not an influencer, he's an expert. The Badger, gun toting dad, but most importantly to me, a man of God. And we'll talk about some of that today. But yeah, what did I miss?
I think you gave me too much credit already from the start. I'm just a normal guy that enjoys things that would be classified as manly things, and have an amazing family and an amazing God that has had my back for quite a while. So it's put me in a position to do a lot of fun things.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, so I've known you, gosh, since 2017 now. So we're all getting older. But yeah, because when we first met each other, we were both single. You'd just gotten back from Haiti. You were doing mission trips at that time and really going on mission, not so much a mission trip. But how has, for you, this is Operation Dad, and so we exist to lead, encourage, and inspire fathers to not just manage their kids, but lead them to raise up the next generation. And so, how has your life kind of taken that path to now you are a father?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we've known each other for a while, so it's been awesome to watch the journey. But it's honestly the God has given us a step by step book to follow. And if you follow that right, you will lead properly. Obviously, that is the Bible. And honestly, a lot of people are going to get negative remarks from it. But the patriarchy that the Bible sets up is such a beautiful picture of one, how God loves his children, though us as humans will continue to fall over and over and never do it as well as he does. He does give us a step by step through his word and how to lead. And the best way to do that is be able to fall on your face and accept when you've done that. No leader is going to be batting 100%. You're going to do things. And as a father, sometimes you do things and you have to go back to your family later and be like, hey, should have approached this differently. But I think when you do that and you do that the right way, you gain respect so that when you do lead in the future, they're on board. They're like, hey, we know that you have our best interest in mind. And again, there's the only secret to it is to do the best you can to follow the rule book. Now, I don't want to call it a rule book. To follow God's word and just do the best you can to know that and understand that.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and that's such a good reminder. I think we don't have it all figured out, but the moments when we mess up or we fall short or we know that we did something, I think that's the most important thing for our kids is just to communicate it, not shy away from it, but communicate it and show them through actions. And we talk a lot about that. So for you, as a father, how many kids do you got now?
I got three of them. All I got
Woo!
6 years old, 3 years old, and a 1 year old.
You're in it. You're out here raising arrows.
Man,
Uh,
I want about five more, but we drew the line at three until we started adopting. So
oh,
until
that's
we started
awesome.
adopting, that's where we're stuck at three.
That's yeah. You get some say, but not the full say there.
Well, yeah, it's yeah. So with I'll let her slide on this one. She with having C sections, I understand that it's only safe to have a certain amount. So I'll
Right.
give her that one.
Hey, I like it. And God's got a plan for you guys. If that family's meant to increase, it can increase in other ways and through adoption and those things. So that's super cool.
Absolutely.
So I love hearing the kiddos in the background. So what has that been like for you, when you and Savannah got together? Um, kind of talk through like that transition from being single to getting married and marriage and then now leading a family.
Yeah. So it's been a beautiful journey. I'm sorry, um, but he's on one right now.
Oh, you're good.
Um,
I've got two little ones too.
uh,
Totally get it.
yeah, no. So it's been quite the journey. It's me and Savannah talk about this on one of our most recent YouTube videos. Is that everything changes when you have to start putting other people before yourself, and that's kind of been our journey. The very first time I met Savannah, I told her like, "Hey, fitness is my life." And I will gladly give you second place to that, but fitness is what I want to do. And not too long after that, my priorities changed drastically. She, obviously, God being the number one, she became the priority of my life. And with having kids come on board, still it is my wife that is number one. I want to make sure she's taken care of. I want to make sure our girls see how they should be loved through my love for Savannah, and also I want my boy to see that how he should be loving his future spouse and everything. So um, I make it a point to let them know and see how much I love her, how much we love each other. Obviously, there's some things you can't share, but we are very affectionate to each other around the house. But and I want them to see that because they need to see what true love looks like, and it's been a growing process. So from where we started of me being fitness the one thing, it just breaking down barriers little by little, realizing that in Genesis starts out saying that it's not good for man to be alone. So understanding that we do need our helper, we need our helpmate, and the best thing about our relationships is that she came from a single dad that she took care of pretty well, and with a brother that always picked on her. I came from a single mom that took very good care of me, so it worked well. She's used to taking care of someone. I'm on the needier end, I guess. And so we kind of just meet in the middle, and she can take my picking on her because she's used to it from her brother. And things have just flown really well.
That's awesome, man. And just to kind of see you guys, like it's been this pursuit of Christ that's brought you guys together, in that triangle of you pursuing God, her pursuing God, and you guys grow close together as you pursue Christ. So as you raise up these three kiddos, and you alluded to it a little bit there, and like I knew you when you were in Indy and working the fitness, and that was your life, like growing this YouTube channel, Instagram, online trainer, in person trainer, working at a gym. How has a change in career and what you've been doing? How have you balanced that with a young family? Because we were both brought up in this culture of go all in, pursue, like get it all done, like work as hard as you can for the first 8 years. And then that was what we were like, that was the culture we were put in. And that was what was expected. And now you throw in a wife and kids and you start to be like, wow, that's not going to work. So, how have you managed that?
Yeah. And I wish I could give you some great extravagant answer, but we have been so blessed since moving to Arizona. We have a job that it's one of those things you front load your work. So we worked extremely hard together. We worked together. We worked extremely hard that first year to build what we have. And now it doesn't run itself, but it just needs some touches throughout the week. So realistically, we work on the weekends. We work 26 weekends a month right now, and we have the rest of the time to be a family, to do whatever we want. And financially, we are very blessed as well. So we get to give the kids an awesome life. I'm constantly reminding my kids, I homeschool them, that, hey, this is when you would be going to school. And then right when it starts getting dark, I'm like, hey, this is when you'd be getting home. You guys need to realize how thankful you need to be that our family is as close as it is. So I know that might not speak to a lot of people because not everybody gets blessed in a way that they get to work 52 days a year. But thankfully, we have been amazingly blessed by that. And I don't, one, yes, I can say it kind of fell in our lap in a way, but I do believe the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I think from when we first met each other, both of us just grinding, I think that is what started the process of being able to go into a position that we are in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I do point it all back to God's blessing, and that's not just a clip I want to say. It like He has favor on our life. Why I have absolutely no clue why He would want to use a knucklehead like me, but He has put us in a great position to be able to bless others, be able to lead others, and be able to be a family that hopefully inspires a lot of others of how a family should look. I'll keep going back to that we mess up all the time. But one thing that I can say is we love each other and we love God, and that is the secret to life. I tell my daughters every single night, what's the most important thing in this world? Love God, love people. You do that, and I think God will take care of you, like Matthew 6 tells us He will.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. And so, I was in a group the other day, and a guy shared, and it was kind of one of those things that like you hear it in the moment, and then 5 days later you're like, wow. And he was just speaking to kind of what you're saying. Like, I can't believe God, like I can't fathom why God chose to bless me with this life. Like when there's people that are, that haven't been blessed the way that I have. And like, why did God choose me? And I don't think we'll ever fully understand that. Except now I just look at it as I'm a vessel to reflect Christ to those I'm around. And if he continues to bless me, I'll continue to praise him. And if the blessings end here on earth, I'll continue to praise him because there's a mansion in heaven, right? And
That's
so
exactly it.
I think you're a testament to that. But I would like to get your thoughts on. So you talked about us grinding early on in our early 20s and my teens and those things. So to dads that are like just completely like don't know where to begin. They're not being present with their families. They're working 80-hour weeks. They want to be present. They know the importance. Um, they want to go get out of the office job or they want to go do that. Like, how do you tell a 34-year-old to go grind? Like, what's Ian's word for that guy?
Right, absolutely. And I want to make mention of I'm not 100% sure if this is like a Christian podcast kind of thing.
Yeah,
It's
so we're
who I
not.
am.
Yeah, that's exactly what we are. So we got asked at the Arnold. We had a booth there last weekend, and the guy came up and he's like, "Is this a faith based podcast?" And I was like, "Uh, yeah." I was like, "Well, we're all disciples of Christ, so it's hard to go an episode without talking about him." So in layman's terms, yeah, pretty much. So
Okay. I
yeah,
like I honestly and I'm in a season in my life now. You go through seasons of I'm in a very thankfulness like season. I'm so thankful. So I'm like I want to give credit where credit is due, but I
yeah.
also don't want to be the cliche of like, oh, it's all God.
Oh, you're good, bro. You're good.
But with that being said, what I would say to them is first step, uh, spend quiet time with God. You do not understand how much you can grow from that and get direction from that. Now, if you're not a Christian and don't want to take that first step, the thing is that what I would recommend you do, find what you are truly passionate about. And it doesn't matter if you're passionate about Pokemon cards, it doesn't matter if you're passionate about stereo systems, fitness. There is somebody out there like you
Mhm.
that loves what you love and wants to do what you want to do. They are just afraid to do it. So the first step is taking that jump. That jump is not always give up your job and hope for the best. Sometimes that job is losing sleep. And I think that's probably what me and you know the most of is if you're working a 9 to 5, okay, what are you doing with the rest of those hours? But now you mentioned you're throwing in a family. You can't work those 5 to 9 hours because you need to devote time to your family, or that's going to become a mess as well. What you need to do is wake up at 3 a.m. to spend 2 hours pursuing what you truly love, what you truly want. And the benefit of all of that is if you fall on your face after 6 months of trying, after a year of trying, if you're truly passionate about that thing, you will still love doing it, even if it's not bringing anything in. But I'm a firm believer that if you are passionate about something enough, that there will be something that will come from it because passion comes out. People see that, people attach to that. Um, and I point mine back to like just uh, manhood, biblical manhood. Like if you see a man that is truly pursuing Christ, like you're just like, what on earth is he doing? I want what he's doing. I want to be a part of what he's doing. It's just that same thing. If you're passionate about something, let it show. Take that jump and make that first YouTube video, make that first podcast, and then just go all in. You're going to have 1 to 2 viewers for your first 30 to 50 videos and feel like you're wasting time, but then that one's just going to pop off. So my encouragement is just to take that jump of what you're passionate about. If you're just trying to find a side gig to make you extra money and you want to learn stock, but you have zero interest in stock and stuff, it's not going to last long. You might make a few bucks, but do what you're passionate about.
Yeah, man, that's so good because um we had a guy that I was close with. He was on the worship team with me. He had two young kids, and he passed away a week ago from a heart attack. And
Okay.
we talked about it. And really, what kind of was revealed too is that you can't you can grind and try to make the money and get the financial blessings and all those things. But like you're saying, those 2 hours in the morning, if you're putting towards something like that, that's not away from your kids. That's not away from your family. And in the same conversation, you got to look at, is this 80-hour work week providing me enough that I'm cool with losing the time with my family? Or is there less is more? Because you can make more money, you can make more, you can get more things your whole life. You can't get time back. And
Right.
so if I'm not intentional, like why we normally record this podcast at 5 a.m. on Saturdays is if it's taken away from my family outside of like certain areas where like there's one off and two off things where I got to be gone in an evening or whatever, like then that's just a no for me at this point in my life because I don't need the extra money. I don't need because I can learn to work. We can learn to budget and work without it. Because we'd rather have time together and like we make that known to the kids. Like we would rather
Right.
have time together than this thing or this experience. And not that we don't give them those things, but I think that's kind of the other fold of that is if you want more and you think you really need it, then you're gonna have to find different areas to work for it, or take a hard look at what you're doing and say, is this worth my time? Is it worth 80
Yeah.
hours? Um,
And ask the question of why do you want something else? If your job's just holding you back from your family, like absolutely pursue something else and grow it to a point where you get more time with your family. But if it's for selfish reasons, that's going to be a hard one to kind of go after. We you briefly mentioned earlier, and I wanted to hit on it even more. Is that like it's one of those things you have to learn to be faithful with little, be faithful with a lot. Thankfully, I'm in a place where I'm blessed, but if it is all stripped away, I will still stand before God, thankful for giving just his son alone. And I learned that through being a missionary in Haiti is I spent time there that I had absolutely nothing, but what I did have was more joy than I've ever had in my life. And so coming from that to coming into a relationship with Savannah, where both of us are working 60 to 80 hours a week, not spending much time together, we realized that was only for a season to set us up for all the time together once we have kids. So it worked out really well. That's not the case for every single person, but as I said earlier, the harder you work, the luckier you seem to get.
Yeah, and that's so true too. And I think what, along the lines of what you're saying, like, and if you work and it doesn't come true, like my thing, like I like, and you're the same way. Like, how many things have we begun and started that aren't still going?
Right.
Because
Right.
it was worth trying because like I want to be able to tell my son and my daughter, like, don't be afraid to try it. Like go try it. And if it doesn't work, then at least you tried it and you learn from it. Like you said, you make 30 YouTube videos and they get 1 to 2 views and nobody ever sees them. Well, guess what you got better at? Making YouTube videos. And you got
Right.
better, putting your thoughts together and putting on a screen. And we were talking the other day, a couple episodes ago, and I just wanted to shout out you for it because I don't know if you've realized it, but let's say like God calls you home tomorrow and you leave your 3 kids in Savannah here on earth. You know the amount of stuff they're going to get to see Ian do, like
Yeah.
content, and they're going to get to know who my dad was and what he was about and the things that he talked about because you've documented it all. And
Right.
I'm not saying every dad has to do that, but it is cool to leave something behind, whether it's journals or music or recordings or like that's pretty cool. Like you have
Right.
that bank of like,
For
I
sure.
can go see what my dad wants. What would my dad say about this? Or how would my dad
Yeah.
work out? Or how would my dad, what scope would my dad get? you know,
Exactly. Yep. Yep. Absolutely.
Super cool, man. Yeah, dude. So what are you up to now? Like I see you out in the desert shooting guns and playing with your
Yeah.
kid.
So there's that is always a tough question to ask me because I've got about 400 different things going on. What me and my wife do, which we kind of talked about earlier, we run different trade shows. So we do everything to put them on, from getting the vendors to doing the marketing to getting the facilities to majority of them that we do are gun shows. So I'm very heavy in the gun world and have met some amazing people through that. But we also do outdoor shows. We do home shows. And that's kind of what we do together. But thankfully, we've been put in a place financially that we've been able to invest or buy different businesses as well. So I like being able to help startup companies that who knows what they want to do. I again, I look for passion. If they're passionate about it and I see promise in it, and it's a way to help them and also benefit our family long term, we do that. Uh, where I'm my fitness coaching. I took a little bit of a break from it for quite a while, but I'm back to hitting it hard now, just to be able to help others. Not in any, I'm not going to get rich from it. It's just going to be money that I'm spending to finish out my garage gym. But I've hit that hard and been able to stack up some clients here recently. I entered a powerlifting meet for April 26th, where I'm aiming for the state bench record. Um,
Where's it at?
and yeah, what's up?
Where's it at?
Phoenix,
Okay. What's the
but
record?
it's 436 in this federation, so I should be able to whoop it. I hope, but as long as I can stay healthy, it'll definitely have my name on it after the 26th. But yeah, it's first time on the platform in, man, 5 or 6 years. Told myself I was done with powerlifting because of how unhealthy I was getting. But thankfully, I took a step back, got healthy, and I am now stronger than I've ever been. But I can also go run 2 miles if I need to. I can climb a mountain. I'm not out of breath just by talking.
Isn't that crazy? Like when you, it's like when you look at the full picture, you get stronger in one area versus like just focusing on the one, which isn't always the case, but many of the times I found like for me that's the case too. Like when I just try to get overall more fit, other things seem to work out. So for you, this 436 bench only, or are you doing the full?
I'm doing the full meet, but the other deadlift and squat records are outrageous.
Right.
So
But I mean,
I don't think
some guys go into a meet wanting the bench,
right,
so they're just going to do the bench and not. So I think that's even cooler that you're not going to have the excuse. You know, nobody can say, "Well, he came in just to bench." Like you
right.
at least
No,
get a
I
record and do
I
everything.
want to see where I'm at. This is kind of a warm up meet to hopefully do something towards the end of the year. But I'm
I
excited
get
for
you
it.
back. What federation?
United Powerlifting.
Okay, we haven't decided what meet we're doing in December yet at the gym, but we're switching to sanction for the Christmas Classic. So I got to figure out what federation, and then you'll have to fly into Indy and win that meet. So
I might have to do that. We'll see. That's
we'll figure out what federation we're going with. But
yeah.
that's awesome, man. So how have you like your kids being 6, 3, 1? Like, what do you want them to? What things do you want them to look at your life and say, "Dad was these things"? Like, what do you want to leave them in a legacy outside of financial, but just to say, "This is who my dad was."
Yeah, and that's a great question, one that's very hard to answer. But what I want more than anything is I want them at the end of the day to be able to say, if I'm not here, I want them to say I never had a doubt in my mind that my dad loved God, he loved Savannah, and he loved us. So there's a lot that comes with that, but that is through every aspect of life by how we work. I showed them that by how I treat others. I showed them that by where our resources go. There's just so many different ways to do that, and I have that in the back of my mind with almost every decision that I make. That I'm doing this for a lot more than myself. And at the age that they're at right now, they probably do not see that at all. But when they are getting ready to get married, which hopefully never happens, but it will happen, hopefully they know how to find the right man based on who I was and what I showed them they deserve. And as long as I leave them with a knowledge of who Jesus was and what he did for us, and they make their decision to follow him, I will be the happiest person. And that's all that I could ever ask for beyond any financial standards or anything like that. I just want them to know how loved that they are by a God in heaven and by a dad that's still here on earth for now.
I like it, man. That's perfect. And it was cool to, going back to Ohio last weekend and hang out with Corey. When I was out there, his kids were young. And so I was talking to him about kids. Like, what do you,
Mhm.
how do you like, how did you function and then have, with your kids at ages? And he said, well, the coolest thing now is like his oldest is getting ready to go to college and starts asking him about stuff. And he's like, well, now finally you get it. Now I can show you what I do. Like now
Right.
you're asking the questions and and then it started to click for his oldest. Like he'd seen it his whole life, but he never really understood it until he started to ask the questions and then be like, "Oh, my dad does know this stuff." Or this is what my dad did. And so for you, like it'll be cool to see as your kids grow up, whatever passions they are, like that's a big one for me. Like if Asher's super passionate about Pokemon cards, I have no idea about Pokemon cards, like you said,
You're right.
right? But I know what it means to chase a passion and to try to meet people and to try to get your foot in the door. And so to encourage him to do that, and like you said, at the end of the day, the stuff here isn't super important if I'm not modeling for them what it is to follow Christ and where he leads. Because, I thought my path was going to be way different. I'm sure you thought your path was going to be way different, but yet
Right.
we're both where we're at because God's called us to this place to have impact and to ultimately love him and continue to be obedient. So, um, how are you getting on the I see the 1P shirt, so that's why this comes up. We just started Dads Do 75 Hard again. So this is day one. So for you, your fitness is obviously important to the point when you met Savannah, it was over her. So how have
Right.
you managed to stay? It's an easy excuse. I've got kids, can't work out. I know you're going to preach on this right here. So how have you managed to stay active, powerlifting meets, fit, all those things because you want to be an example to them, not just say, well, hey, back when I was your age, I was doing this. Now you can say, well, I'm still doing this. Like your dad is
Right.
healthy. So how do you manage that? And then why is that an important thing to you?
Yeah. So just I'll give a basic answer and then dive in a little bit more. My basic answer is having kids, having a family is more reason to work and to not work out. You want to be there for them no matter what they want to do in life. I want to be able to do. If they want to go hike a mountain, I can do that. If something were ever to fall on them, I got to be able to lift that up. If our house is on fire, I need to be able to carry 3 kids and a wife out the door and be able to run 100 yards away. Like whatever they want, I want to be able to do anything with them. That being a short answer, the more in-depth answer of why I do what I do every single day without I don't compromise. I'm working out every single day in one way or another, and the reason why I do that has nothing to do with my family. It has to do with the people that are not able to do it. How selfish and arrogant would we be to skip making ourselves better when there is people in this world that do not have that opportunity? That is what flashes through my head every single day, is that I would be the most selfish person in the world to not capitalize on an opportunity that many others do get time of them working so much that they do not have time for their family, or whether they have a disability that doesn't allow it. I have the ability to walk right out in my garage, whether it's 20 minutes, whether it's an hour, whether it's 2 hours. I have the ability to do that. To not do that is just to look at God in the face and say, "You've blessed me with too much. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do anything."
Yeah, but come on, man. He's blessed you with so much. You got these kids, just sit on the couch, eat a bag of Cheetos, have some Oreos, you don't need to keep working in. But no, you see the like I love that. It's selfish to waste a healthy body and the ability. And so to attain that, that's a great driving force. And then your kids will see that. At the end of
Right?
the
They're
day,
out there in the garage with us most of the time.
right. Like my 4 year old's asking stuff about working out and things like that. And can I go to the gym and those kind of things? So it's cool to get to see them, you know, begin to model, like they model the little things we do, which was the whole point behind this podcast and getting it started was they started modeling what we were doing through 75 hard. I don't know if you've done it before, but um, like on day 46, my kid was like, "Are we reading tonight? Like, when are we gonna go on our walk?" And I was like, sat back and I was like, "Man, this is little menial daily tasks that he's catching on to. So, what are the big things in my life that he's catching on to that, for the better or the worse, that like
Right.
the way I talk or the way I communicate or the way I handle myself, and not just being that old football coach that's like, hey." When I was your age, I could bench 225, but then not being able to get under it. Like
Right.
you gotta be able to live it a little bit. So yeah, that's
That's
fun.
with the gun shows that we work. That's I hear it all the time. Oh, you're big as you when I was your age, and I straight up tell them, no, you weren't. And then or I'll ask them, well, what do you do now? And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Well, what
it's like
happened?
Right. Yeah. No, I don't give into that stuff because well, I understand I'm not going to be this strong forever. I'm not going to be able to train in the way that I do, but I can guarantee one thing: till I die, I will be moving in some type of fitness related thing, whether I turn into a marathon runner or who knows what. Just keep moving. You stop moving, you start dying.
That's right. If you don't use it, you lose it. So that's good,
Yep.
man. Yeah, dude. So what kind of stuff you got coming up? Where can people find you? Appreciate the conversation. Like, I mean, I don't know if people know, we used to have a podcast way back when we were a
Right.
bunch of
Right.
idiots trying to figure out where we were going in this thing.
Yep.
So it's been fun to jump back on. So what are you up to? You got shows this weekend?
So we just had back to back weekends of shows. We are sponsoring a rodeo actually this week. It's a massive rodeo out here that sees over 26,000 people. So I we are going there for one our gun shows, one our gun and outdoor show, and also I'm going to advertise a lot of my fitness stuff there. So just getting in front of a lot of people. Um, if you're ever in the Arizona area, all of our shows are right around the valley, and we probably got one going on around the time that you're here. So you can always look up those at guntvshows.com. But beyond that, you can find me at Badger Asher on Instagram. Badger is not my real name, but it is what I go by because my name is Ian and it has been butchered to Ian one too many times. So myself as Badger like the animal, and that works a lot better. Also, anybody that is watching this more than likely is a dad, and my YouTube channel is growing. The main thing I do on there is what's called Strength and Scriptures, where I just work out and talk about the Bible throughout that. But it is very family focused as well. When I started it, I had the audience of thinking, "Oh, young bucks are going to be watching this and trying to get stronger," and I realized like, nah, it's just dads that just want to do a little bit better. So my YouTube page, very unprofessional. I have no clue what the name of it is. It is either Honey Badger Athletics or it is the Badgers Den. But it is growing. It is doing well, and I post 3 to 5 videos a week on there, just of workouts, family stuff, and
Well, I gotta look it up to get the official one here, so they know where to find you. Not that I can't link it in the show
yeah.
notes, but while I do that,
Let's see. It is Honey Badger's Den. That's what it's under.
that's right. Got it. All right. So sweet picture of you in a Reaper shirt and a headband. It's awesome.
Sweet.
I like it. All right. So last question for you, because I'm curious, and if nobody else wants to know, that's fine. How did you get into guns?
Growing up in a cornfield outside of Indiana, guns are just a normal thing. Um, so I always grew up just shooting, plinking around as just a normal way of life. But it led me to taking that kind of training serious, met some great people, and just being around them got me into the more run and gun type stuff of like everyday situations. If you have to use a firearm, it's never going to be at 15 yards away, standing, giving yourself 10 seconds to aim. Like you actually need real life training with that. And during that, seeing the carryover to one, being able to protect my family, but there's also a huge carryover to the fitness level you need to be able to do those things. It just, my enjoyment from it grew, being on the people I'm around. Like, yeah, that's kind of it. Is just I had always had a fascination with them. Now that I'm around them all the time and get very good deals on things, it's easy. Oh, this is new. Let's pick that up. Let's go test it out. And then with the buddies I'm around, I'm like in the desert, like in Indiana, I used to have to drive a little bit to go shoot, or I'd have to shoot indoors. Here, 7 minutes, I shoot into the side of a mountain and have as far as I want to shoot or play around.
Nice. So what's your carry?
Right now, my carry is a Glock 19X, but there's been a lot of changes on it with the different trigger, spring, slide, barrel. I've played around with it a lot. I used to have about 30 different carries, but that is one thing that has changed over my period of time. Is I'd rather be really good with one thing than sort of good with a lot of things.
I like it.
Made that the gun that I'm most comfortable with, and don't plan on changing that anytime soon.
I like it. So you got a guy come up to you at a gun show who's, I don't know, knows his way around guns, but hasn't got his concealed carry yet. Gets his like Illinois, you gotta have concealed carry, but I don't know if you're probably open carry out there in the West.
Yeah, it's constitutional carry. You don't have to here,
Yeah.
but it's still
Well,
recommended.
we're not constitutional in Illinois, so. But anyway, guy comes up says, "All right, what would you recommend for him?"
Yeah, a million different questions I would ask on top of that. The biggest thing is going to be price point. If you want to stay as cheap as possible and still be comfortable in protecting yourself, Ruger has a collab with Magpul, which is just a knockoff Glock 19, but it's $300 to $400. That's kind of what I recommend to ladies that are just like abusive past, need something to protect myself, but I don't have money. Like get that, that'll protect you. If you got the $500 to $800 range, I say a Glock 19X. There's a reason I have four of them is because they're awesome, they're reliable. Now, if you're a big spender and you want something super nice, I would love to say staccato. I've been through a million of those. The only problem with that now is I got all of them when they were hard to get. I think now they are mass produced, so quality has went down. So if you, I can't speak on the new ones, but that's kind of the price points. Either a Ruger RXM, Glock 19, like the Springfield Echelon as well, which is a $600 to $800 gun. It gets a lot of hate, and I was influenced too much to put mine away for a while, but I started shooting it again, and I absolutely love it. So there's three or four that you can look at and try to get comfortable with. But realistically, if you are looking to carry and you're kind of newer to it, go to a shooting range that lets you try out guns, get a good fit for your hand, get a good feel for it, because everybody different, and it's going to be kind of it's up to you to figure out what you like.
Yeah, I like it. So then that leads to the last question, and I'll let you get back to your kiddos. So, big gun guy, and fitness is important, God's important, all those things. Number one priority in your life, and that has impacted, and your kids see it. And so, how do you handle firearm safety with three little ones running around?
Oh man, I don't know if I should give my honest answer.
Gotcha.
I it's one of those things that what age do you wait to tell your kid not to touch the stove? What age do you wait to tell the kid not to run across the street? You tell them from the start. I'm not like waiting till 3 years old and okay, now look, this is a trigger. Like my 6 year old can operate a gun more than better than 90% of the people that walk through our gun shows. Um, and now the politically correct answer, all my guns at home are locked up in a safe. There's no way the kids can get to them. But let's just say I do have some laying around. Even the 1 year old knows to look at it and just you do not touch it. Obviously, would never leave anything around loaded. But even if I were to do that, my kids know firearm safety extremely well. They can give you all the rules of firearm safety, and it is not something I have to worry about. Now, that being said, my daughter's picked up sleepwalking, so I do make sure
Oh,
things I do make sure things are well out of reach and cannot be got to. So,
a fun
um,
twist.
yeah, it's one of those things. It's one of the very first things I taught when they start understanding stuff, and it's just a part of our everyday life. As I'm getting dressed, they see me grab my gun, they see me one in the chamber, they see me put it up. Like it's just been a way of life for them. They know how dangerous they can be, but they know the reason I carry them. They know the reason that we have them as well. Though it is a fun hobby, it is much deeper than just a hobby. It is one thing that might be able to save somebody's life one day, and that is why we do that and we teach that very early.
Good, man. I love it. Well, keep crushing it. Love following your stuff. You guys should all go check out Badger Asher, formerly known as Ian. Don't get it twisted. It's not Ian.
Right.
Yeah, catch a stray if you call him that. Um, but yeah, man, it's been awesome to see your family grow. You and Savannah, thriving out there in the West, holding it down opposite side of the Mississippi, while we're stuck over here in the Midwest. So, been super cool. Appreciate you jumping on. Yeah, we'll have to do it again soon when I can get the other dudes up in here because I'm sure they'll have questions that I never thought of. So,
Absolutely. I appreciate you, man. It was good catching up again. Now just to hate on you guys over in the Midwest.
yeah.
After this, I'm going to head outside and enjoy a cigar because it's 75 and sunny here. So
Well, hey,
I'm going to go
it's
enjoy that.
62 and sunny here.
Okay. Okay.
You
All right.
picked
It's
it
not,
up
not as
now.
bad as I thought it was.
Now, tomorrow it might be 30 and rainy, but today I get to act like we're okay. So it's
Okay.
good.
Okay. Fair enough. Then it backfired on me.
All right, man. Hey, enjoy, appreciate it. Keep crushing it.
Have a good one. God bless, guys.
See you, man. Bye.